Hello all and welcome. And I am the mgtowphilosopher. And in this episode, I would like to discuss an article I saw from the UK from a newspaper. Well, newspaper, no paper involved. Online paper, yeah. Maybe they print the paper in real life. I don't know. If it does, I'd be surprised if anybody buys it. It's obviously a rag, like every other mainstream newspaper out there. But anyway, this article is a game changer. Yet another sign that the end is coming, that the end is, well, if not near, it's certainly getting there. It's certainly getting closer. And the title, which should inform you that that's the case, Let Little Boys Wear Tiaras. Church of England issues new advice to combat transgender bullying for teachers. Okay, I don't get it. What's the rationale here, okay? So, transgender kids, or essentially kids who are being encouraged to become more girl-like because the society is so man-hating that it only makes sense that some boys would get tired of being hated all the time and want to become women. So that I get. And now they want to make boys even more feminine. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So essentially what they're saying is, oh, okay, so if some kid gets bullied because he has a problem, just make everybody else have the same problem. Some kid has cancer, and he's got a bald cue ball head. What are we going to do? We're going to encourage all the kids to get cancer and shave their heads or get cue ball heads? What are we going to do? Oh, there's some kind of nonsense solidarity. Oh, you have a cue ball head. Let's everybody get together and let's all get cue ball heads. What about fat kids? If you got a fat kid, that's not his fault. He's fat. He's got a gland problem, or he can't stop eating. He's got an anxiety disorder. Well, to show our solidarity, we're all going to get fat. What is this nonsense? This doesn't make sense. So to combat transgender bullying of essentially what is what? 0.4% of kids, 0.7%, and 80% of them grow out of it. So to combat that, we're going to make all the kids into transgender kids. All the boys, that is. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So instructions for the Church of England's 4,700 schools. Jesus Christ. 4,700 schools? Well, it sounds like that the Church of England manages most of the schools in England. That's really scary, yo. Certainly the public ones or something. That's crazy. Ay. I mean, I hate religion. I hate Catholicism. I hate Islam. I hate Buddhism. I dislike them all equally. Definitely should not be mandatory to send your kid to a religious school. So these 4,700 schools appear to give backing to ban on skirts. So girls can't wear skirts? Why? Oh, because it's traditional. I see. And they're even admitting they want to attack traditional dress, both in boys and girls. So let's deconstruct the whole gender narrative. Yeah, it's all a narrative. It's just a construct. Yeah, this is the evil poison of feminism. Some scrap the traditional girl's uniform to avoid difficulty for trans people. Yeah, because that little 0.5% of the population, we have to bow down and essentially acquiesce to their feelings. They don't have to assimilate to the 99.5% of us. We have to assimilate to the 0.5% of them because they're an oppressed minority. You gotta love cultural Marxism. What a bunch of nonsense. Schools have been told they can't use Bibles as basis for gender identification. Well, you don't really need a Bible, do you? You just look at the bulge in the boy's pants and the lack of a bulge in hers and the big tits that she's got flopping around and the lack of tits on him. You don't really need much to identify a boy, as a girl, and a girl as a girl, do you? I mean, you just look at them, right? Oh, but just looking at them and identifying them in your head is that's a bias as well. That's an internal bias. Yeah, we can't have that. Let's get to this piece of crap story about a piece of crap policy to essentially indoctrinate the entire country to be even a bigger bunch of pussies than they already are. Boys as young as 5 should be able to wear tiaras at school without criticism. Really? First of all, when do girls go to school with tiaras? I mean, what is this pushing of agenda? I mean, that's like uber feminist, uber feminine to begin with. When do girls ever wear tiaras to school? And now you're trying to push boys to wear tiaras? I mean, could you be any more obvious in your agenda to turn boys into ballless pussies? Could you be any more obvious about it? Teachers in Church of England schools are to be told. Yeah, that's a wonderful agenda right there. Turn your strong men that you need to essentially keep your country going into weak, ballless wimps. Yeah, good idea. Male pupils should also be free to dress up in a tutu. What? A tutu? I got nothing against like male ballet dancers and shit. They don't put tutus on, and they're pretty masculine guys actually, and usually they're built and they can do some, and they're pretty goddamn athletic. But dressing them up in a goddamn tutu, that's going a little too far, don't you think? Or high heels. What? High heels. Well, I thought that in these these Catholic schools, you can't, even the girls can't wear high heels. But now it's okay because there's now an agenda to feminize boys. So now it's okay for them both to wear high heels. Well, no, the girls can't wear high heels. We don't want to make them more feminine. We want to make them more masculine. No, we have to destroy the traditional gender roles. But we want to make the boys more feminine without attracting any comment or observation according to anti-bullying rules sent out by the church yesterday. What is this? So now even the church, this bastion of strength, this all-male institution, is bending to the wants of the liberal left. Even the church is becoming, well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Estimates have shown that as many as 25% of priests are gay. So big surprise that the church wants to turn all the boys into drag queens. Yeah. According to the anti-bullying rules sent out by the church yesterday, this is all nonsense. Who was bullying kids anyway? Not very much, but maybe there was some bullying going on, but this is more of a pretext than anything else. Like whenever there's a mass shooting or something, the liberal cockroaches come out from under the rocks and they start clamoring for more gun control, which doesn't work, by the way, because, the people that do that shit are like criminals, so they'll get their guns illegally if they can't get them legally. But, of course, they don't. No, that doesn't matter to them. No logic and reason don't matter, just feelings over facts. I see. The instructions for the Church of England's 4,700 schools said they should not require children to wear uniforms that create difficulty for trans people, or that create unity of thought, or that create some kind of connection to a traditional way of thinking and a traditional way of being, meaning man or woman. We have to blur the lines between the sexes until none exist, because everything's relative and everything is open to interpretation, of course. Now, let's see what this kid looks like. Oh, boy, brace yourself. Oh, my God. And look at this poor kid. You never, ever see a picture of a girl dressed up like a lumberjack and shit, do you? I mean, this is just some crazy shit. And by the way, what the hell? Look at this boy. You can look at his face. He's unhappy. This kid is like, shoot me, please. I'm going to die. I am so miserable. Would you please kill me? Now everybody that's not a member of the Catholic Church and in these Catholic schools is going to beat me up. You want to talk about a recipe for bullying? There's a lot of schools in England that are private and not run by the Church of England. Look out, because once those people see pictures of this and they see this kid on the street, they're going to beat his ass. Oh, but we need diversity. We need diversity of, diversity of what? Diversity of sex? Certainly not diversity of ideas, because this is all just one cooked up bunch of farcical nonsense ideas that all come from the same place. It's just nonsense. The new rules for faith schools say males should be able to wear items usually worn by females. Yeah, I don't see what that has to do with educating kids. But, of course, the schools have nothing to do with educating kids, do they? They're all about indoctrination. Of course, it's what I've always been saying. Schools across the Western world are only about turning boys into pussies. Like this poor little kid's going to be. Oh, my God. This is child abuse, really. Look at this. This is basically the tiara is a symbol of femininity. You know what's a symbol of masculinity? A big, giant bulge in your pants. Well, why don't we just make the girls stuff their fucking panties with socks? Huh? Why don't we do that as an outward manifestation of maleness? Why don't we stuff her pants with big giant socks so she has a bulge when she walks around and everybody can see it? That's a man's symbol of masculinity, his big cock. And of course, we have to put on boys a tiara. You sure? Why don't we do that? Oh, I'll be all for it if you do that. Oh, no, we can't do that to the girls. We can't traumatize the girls like that. We can't make them do something like that. Oh, but you can encourage and make boys do something like this. I see. That's very interesting. Notice how it's always against the boys? The girls don't really have to do anything. I mean, girls have been wearing pants, which used to be called pantaloons, since time immemorial. I mean, well, no, since like the turn of the century. These suffragettes, these feminists, these old cat ladies even back then that didn't like men, but were trying to be men, would put on pants. Look at me, I'm as good as any man. No, you want to be a man. And so it's not so unusual or at all unusual for a girl to wear pants, but putting a dress on a boy, there's a reason it's taboo and fucked up. Look at this poor kid. Hey, let's get to more of this. Really, this story is traumatizing me just reading it. The article goes on to say this appears to give official backing to schools that ban skirts to avoid discrimination against transgender children. Schools are also told they cannot use the Christian faith or Bible teachings to justify behavior that is considered to amount to bullying. Well, I mean, I got no problem with not teaching Christian nonsense, but I have a problem with the reasons they're not wanting to teach certain things. For example, identifying a transgender pupil by a sex other than the one they have chosen. Sure, because everything is relative. Relativism is that's the way the world is. There's no objective reality. No. A box is just a box because we see it as a box. It could be something else. It could be a tiger. Ooh, okay. I'm not a loser. I'm a winner. Yeah, even though you're a loser. Oh, no, I'm not a loser anymore because I can now identify myself as whatever I want to be, and I want to identify myself as a winner, so you have to identify me as a winner too, and if you don't identify me as a winner, you could go to jail. Oh, okay. On which teachers are encouraged to name the alleged bully in their target and use tick boxes to describe what happened. Ah, okay. Inform on your fellows. Yeah, that's real good. Yeah. Snitching. Good idea there. Yeah, no solidarity of any kind there. Let's base solidarity on things that are totally irrelevant, like nonsensical ideologies that teach it's okay for boys to wear tiaras and be identified as a girl if they identify as a girl. Well, that's not irrelevant. That's harmful and damaging. It's just utter bullshit. Yeah, so teachers are encouraged to inform on students who do the tiniest little inconsequential and, yes, irrelevant things and get them in trouble. That's real good. Yeah, boys, that's just going to make school so much more fun, huh? You're walking around on eggshells all day, worried you're going to say the wrong thing. Examples include name-calling, social media trolling, or insulting gestures. 1984 has arrived, people. It couldn't be any more Orwellian. The rules to challenge homophobic, biophobic. But what? Biphobic? What is that? What is that? I just keep hearing these new terms all the time. So what is that? Oh, so bisexual? So if you're bisexual, there's a phobia. Really? I never heard of biphobia. I've heard of arachnophobia. I've heard of claustrophobia. But I've never heard of biphobia. So, that's just made up, right? They just make this stuff up. Like there's an irrational fear of bi people. I'm not afraid of people who like both men and women. What are you talking about? So, this is just all about making everything that's deviant into the new normal, okay? You're using what's deviant to deconstruct society. So you take what's traditional and acceptable, and you destroy it by making that the stuff that's unacceptable, and then making the deviant stuff acceptable. That's what they did with same-sex marriage. Just change the definition of marriage, and then let's get all these gay people hitched. Yeah. Let's destroy the culture because we have white hate, self-hate. It's so bad. Yeah, we're so evil. Let's deconstruct and reconstruct everything because we're classic communists, and we don't even know we're communists because we're fucking useful idiot morons. and transphobic bullying. Well, maybe if you were a boy dressing up in a dress and a tiara, you wouldn't get bullied. Follow initial guidelines published by the church 3 years ago, which said being gay can be good. Really? How? Can't be good. It's not good. It's deviant. All right. Now you want to be gay. That's fine. From what science says, you have no choice. It's something inborn, genetic. I'm not so sure I believe that shit. It could be more that it's a nurture over nature. But hey, whatever. You want to be what you want to be. That's your choice. But it's still an alternative lifestyle. You know, I don't think you should be free to run around and preach to the world how wonderful it is to be gay, because it's not wonderful. Good and pupils should revere and respect all members of the diverse community. Well, the diverse community doesn't respect me. Now, I mean, they look at me and they say, oh, now it's my turn to make you feel marginalized. Yeah, okay. And so they pump out at 10 times the volume than we ever did how we're somehow wrong and evil for being normal. The official teaching of the Church of England, however, remains that gay sex is sinful. They're very interesting. So on one hand, they're saying it's okay and it's good to be gay, and on the next, they're saying, oh, no, it's bad and evil. So now even leftism has even infiltrated the church, and the church is now speaking out of both sides of their mouth, just like leftists do. Wonderful. Isn't that great? And that members of the clergy should not be in an active sexual relationship. It's very contradictory. So you're saying it's okay to be gay. And as many as 25% of priests are gay, but they're still going to teach within their own institutions internally that, oh, this is wrong. We're just going to say to the public it's right. So we're just going to lie to make everybody happy. I see. With someone of the same sex. The church also says marriage must continue to be between a man and a woman. Now, of course, the church also says that you can't be having, if you're a priest, sex with women as well. The church is a really fucked up, contradictory institution to begin with. And now it's gotten even worse, thanks to the left. Conservative Christian activists condemned the new rules yesterday, as they should. Not because Christianity is a good thing, it's inherently evil to begin with, but according to their own doctrines, this is some crazy nutbag shit that they're choosing to endorse. Andrea Minichiello Williams, geez, that's a long fucking name, honey. You got to have two last names? You had to keep your last name, huh? You had to tack that in the middle there, did you? Yeah. Of Christian Concern, an evangelical member of the Church of England's Parliament, the General Synod. What the Synod? What is this shit? Sounds like some kind of weird Kryptonian name or something. What the hell? Yeah, the Kryptonian Council of Synod. What is this shit? Said these rules of unkind, unloving, and lacking in compassion. Of course, the left is saying it's all about compassion. Yeah, but it's totally lacking in love and kindness and compassion to the kids that are not gay and who don't want to go to school dressed up as a pussy wimp boy with a tiara and a dress. We are against all kinds of bullying. Since when is not pushing an agenda mean that you're for it? Huh? Since when is not pushing an anti-bullying agenda to a great extreme mean that you're for bullying? And by the way, they're against bullying, but you can't stop all bullying. This is just pretextual bullshit. This is like the left thinking that you can ban guns and stop guns. Meanwhile, everywhere this has been done, in Australia, people don't know this, that gun crime has went up since they did their little gun grab, okay, and their gun ban, okay? They don't want you to know that. And the local governments are not allowed to report. They don't report these numbers. They have this bullshit internalized memo going around that you don't report the crime stats. And so nobody knows from outside England, from outside Australia, unless you do some heavy-duty research, which I've done. It's gone up like a lot. And so, this stuff doesn't work. Doesn't work. You can't have this say, oh, we're going to stop all bullying. You're not going to stop all bullying. What you're going to do is just... yeah, because your goal is not to stop bullying. You're just using this anti-bullying stuff as a pretext to convert more people to leftism by turning them into hishis. So she says, well, against bullying, but the church is using these guidelines to pursue an agenda that runs counter to the church's teachings. Duh. And of course, I'm not saying it's okay to be a bully. I'm not saying it's okay to harass and be nasty to people who have a lifestyle you don't agree with. I'm not saying that. But the church isn't saying that either. Now, of course, the Bible says that, sure. But we all know how the Christians pretty much pick and choose what they want to believe from the Bible anyway. They cherry pick all the little passages. You know, they got their little cognitive dissonance going on. So most people are generally good. We don't need to go to the extent where you're not only against bullying, which they've been anyway, but we don't need to go to the extent where you're turning everybody into a drag queen. I mean, this is really stupid. This is so dumb. This is kind of like if a kid in a wheelchair was getting bullied. So the school buys like a bunch of wheelchairs and institutes a wheelchair day to expose everybody to what it's like to be in a wheelchair, and it makes all the kids like in a single class. Okay, in this period, you're going to have to use the wheelchair. I want you all to get in the wheelchair and take a spin around the school. Now, of course, some kids might actually enjoy it. You know, they try to do pop wheelies and shit. And they ram into each other like they were riding in those bumper cars and shit. But they would get an idea of what it like to be in a wheelchair. A little bit of empathizing goes a long way. I would be okay with that. But this stupid new plan is encouraging kids to get in wheelchairs and ride around in wheelchairs all day, every day for the rest of their lives and to become quadriplegics, paraplegics, whatever. What? I mean, this is stupid. So essentially become what you were formerly bullying. Or if some kid gets like a broken arm and it's, don't bully the kid who got a broken arm. Don't make fun of him and putting everybody in a cast. And then encouraging them not only to wear that cast for a single period or all day, to empathize and learn what it's like so they can sympathize with the person. But, okay, now we encourage you to wear a cast forever. And to embrace what is essentially a disability, because, first of all, this trans stuff is a mental illness. I don't give a shit what people say. It's a mental illness. The DSMV says it's a mental illness, and it is a mental illness. And even if the DSMV did not say that, I'm saying it. You are a mentally ill motherfucker if you dress up as the opposite sex and run around wanting to be a woman, and you're actually a man. You are mentally ill, you're disturbed, and you're confused, and you need psychological help. And this is essentially encouraging people to hobble themselves for life. Yeah, that's a real good idea. Yeah, real smart. So the caption for this picture says, Justin Welby said this guidance helps schools to offer the Christian message of love. What? So I'm essentially showing that I love you by dressing up as a girl and putting a tiara on and high heels and prancing around like a fag. Is that what you're saying? So I'm dressing up and acting like a fag, and that's me showing my love. And now I have to become like you, too. Oh, okay. And that's showing love. Joy. Well, it's sure joyful for the gays, because you're indoctrinating a whole bunch of new homos and gays and fags, and so he's got a whole bunch of new marks, okay, that he can do some fudge packing with. So that's good for them. Yeah, I bet they're joyful. And celebration of humanity without exception or inclusion. Okay. Well, you know, excluding people is sometimes good. You have some people that have some very weird, very strange, very negative outlooks on life, and those people probably should be excluded. Okay? You know, these things exist for a reason. To label something as an absolute evil, absolute good, you got to be real careful with that kind of absolutism. Sometimes exclusion is a good thing, you idiots. Yeah, there was a time that people understood that you don't want to encourage all forms of behavior. Oh, but now everything's acceptable. We're so liberal. Do whatever you want. Yeah. She added, we're getting to the point where if you are not careful, the slightest slip from the correct agenda in a Church of England school will get you punished. Oh, yeah. You can't go against the PC. You can't go against the politically correct message that's out there. No, you got to toe the line. You got to toe that party line. You got to toe the Maoist line. You got to toe the communist line. The anti-bullying agenda is aimed against people who step out of line. The anti-bullies are becoming the bullies. Of course. Of course. Just like the anti-fascists are actually the fascists. Of course. Because there's no way that you can police people's behavior and make them behave in the way that you want to without the implementation of threat, of force. And when you do that, you become the very bullies, the very fascists that you claim to be fighting against. It's the methodology that's the problem, the implementation that's the problem. You cannot force people to act a certain way. If you do, you've become the enemy. The new guidance came as a Christian teacher was suspended from a school in Oxfordshire after accidentally calling a transgender pupil girl instead of boy. What? Talk about the thought police. Talk about 1984. You make a simple slip, you're out of there. So this is not just about controlling language. This is about controlling thought, because language is thought. This is about indoctrination. This is about controlling people via speech and expression. Joshua Sutcliffe, 27, faces a disciplinary hearing this week in which he could lose his job after the parents complained. Yeah, you got to have that social justice, that extreme social justice. Or if you make a tiny little error, either in your personal life or your work life, you are going to face huge social consequences. Loss of your job, possible jail time. Now, of course, that's going beyond social justice. Of course, that is now criminal justice. Social justice and the criminal justice system forming an evil alliance. And, of course, the liberal parents complained. Of course they did, because parents these days are part of that generation, that young generation that's been indoctrinated into this leftist bullshit. Feels over facts. The Church of England rules say children in nurseries and in the primaries that make up the majority of the schools should be free to follow their own inclinations when they dress, right? And of course they should be free to follow their own inclinations no matter what, right? I mean, if they have the inclination to chop off their fellow schoolmate's head, just encourage them. Oh, you chopped off Billy's head? Where's his head? Where's his head? We're going to need it for the funeral, but you're okay because you followed your own inclinations. Yeah. They state in the early years context. In the early years context and throughout primary school, play should be a hallmark of creative exploration. Well, what is this? Why did they use the word context? In the early years, context. What? They didn't qualify that. Context is good. Context is bad. Play should be a hallmark of creative exploration. So if the little kids want to creatively explore the idea of having sex with each other, giving each other oral or anal, or at least attempting to, because, of course, the boys can't get hard on yet, but they're play acting. Oh, well, we should encourage that. All forms of behavior, because context doesn't matter. Yada, yada, yada. I'm a stupid leftist. Yeah. Context, it doesn't matter. Goes on to say, pupils need to be able to play with the many cloaks of identity. Well, that sentence in and of itself is a cloak. It's so obscure and obfuscating. It makes it's not specific. It's very nebulous and amorphous. There's not really specific in any way. What does that mean? That the children need to be able to play with the many cloaks of identity. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. That's just rhetorical nonsense. Of many cloaks of identity. So identity is a cloak, is it? And by the way, a cloak would have a hood, and you'd be able to hide the face and obscure the face, hide your true self. So essentially, you need to learn to wear cloaks and hide your true identity, obfuscate who you really are, and be somebody else to make other people happy and to conform to the world. Wait a second now. That sounds like how it was back in the 50s and 40s, or, it sounds even worse. That sounds like the state trying to tell you how you should be, what you should be, how you should express yourself. And yet it's somehow liberating? What? This is the contradictory nonsense I was talking about. Children should be at liberty to explore the possibilities of who they might be without judgment or derision. No, it sounds like you're pushing specific identities on them that you want them to be. So it's not actually an exploration of any kind. It's just you trying to socially engineer them into a certain mindset that you want to adopt. That's anything but freedom. For example, a child may choose the tutu. No, you encourage him to choose a tutu. Or a princess tiara. No, you encourage him to choose a princess tiara. And heels. No, you encourage him to wear the heels. And the fireman's helmet. But, the fireman, when are you making the... I've seen no picture where a boy is being encouraged to be more like a man. And that's only this in at the end to try and make it look like they're somehow fair and balanced in the way that they're going to push this agenda nonsense. At no time are they going to push masculinity except on the girls, okay? They're not going to push it on the boys at all, ever. And by the way, just don't push anything on anyone, and then you're being neutral. And you're not favoring one over the other. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, no, because boys are too toxically masculine and girls are too toxically feminine. Of course, we're going to focus 95% of our efforts on boys and making them more feminine. Yeah. Yeah, that somehow makes sense and is somehow fair and balanced. I don't know how much more of this I can read because this is getting me sick, but I'm going to try. The rules add within school communities where there will be members of staff who are cohabitating. Yeah, and they should be able to come out of the closet and be free to express the fact that they're homos and lesbos. Yeah, sure, okay. In same-sex relationships, bisexual, trans are exploring their gender identity. So what? But they're when the school, there will be members of staff. Well, what the hell? So because members of your staff are gay, you need to change the curriculum to teach kids to be more gay. What? That doesn't make sense. Talk about flimsy justifications. Same-sex parents and trans parents may be among the parent body. So what? So what? Now you're going to push everybody? You're going to push this agenda on people that may or may not want it? It's just to indoctrinate. Why don't you just be honest? You just want to indoctrinate these people, okay? To make them into relativists so you can do whatever you want to them and make them do whatever you want them to do when they grow up. And in most secondary schools, a minority of pupils will come out as gay and lesbian during their years in the school. Well, you're hoping now, through this agenda, that you're going to create more of them, of course. Totally confused, no sense of self, no real identity. They go through their whole lives fucked up in the head, but they'll do it. You want them to do, and they'll be useful puppets. An increasing number of children and young people are being referred to gender identity services. An increasing number of primary and secondary. Oh, of course they are, because you've got an increasing number of people confused about who and what they are because you're pushing this leftist, one-sided, anti-male agenda all the time. No shit they're confused about their gender and identity. An increasing number of primary and secondary schools are reporting incidences of children wishing to identify as other than the gender of their birth. Yeah, because boys are treated like total crap. They're treated like garbage, and they see how well girls are treated, so they want to be girls. Of course, their immature mind doesn't have a sense of self. They're not well-grounded. They don't have a strong sense of self. They don't have a strong foundation of self. So by no means are they immune to this type of crappy anti-male treatment. They just don't have the strength to deal with it. So it's much easier for them to drift toward being more feminine, to not only be more accepted and not have to deal with the hateful crap they deal with as being a boy, but they see all the goodies and the brownies and the virtue points they get for being a fake girl. Yeah, I can't blame a kid that would want to essentially gravitate toward the more feminine because they're getting rewarded to do that while they're getting punished as a boy just for being a boy. Any school that does not teach the importance of gay or transgender rights will be fit. You can teach it without having to 24/7 or at least the entire time that they're in that class indoctrinate them into being the opposite sex. You idiots! Failing in their duty to prepare their pupils to live in modern Britain. No, just teach it. Don't be it. Don't make them be something they're not. Idiots. They don't seem to understand that this is not natural. This is an occurrence of all the man-hating messages in the media, in the news, in the education system. What you're seeing is a byproduct of that hate. It's not a natural thing that's always been there. At least not to this extent. And we've got this idiot here who's nothing more than a politician, of course, and he fears loss of revenue and such. So let's try to make as many leftist idiots happy as possible. And the caption has him saying, a child may choose to wear a tutu, Princess Tara, and heels. Yeah. We already heard that. You are a leftist fool. In fact, you're a useful idiot. You're a sellout, pal. You're a political whore selling out the public and the overall good of everyone to personally benefit, to benefit your church, to try and get more moolah. You are scum. The story goes on to say, the guidance adds that there can be no justification for this negative behavior based on the Christian faith or the Bible. Yeah, I would agree. Don't teach the negative behavior. You don't have to indoctrinate people. It states the Church of England's teaching on human sexuality and a range of Christian views should be taught, as well as a range of perspectives from other faiths and other worldviews. So now the leftists, of course, are trying to get rid of their one ally, their one enemy, which is religion. So now they're infiltrating and they're deconstructing the Catholic Church as well. Yes, we can't have a competing dogma. We have to be the only religion out there. We have to be the only dogma. We have to deconstruct and destroy that other bastion of traditionalism in the countries that we're attacking. And that's Christianity. That's got to go because that is our enemy. It's our rival. The Rev. Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, said, central to Christian theology is the truth that every single one of us is made in the image of God. What's your point? Every one of us is loved unconditionally by God. What's your point? The guidance helps schools to offer the Christian message of love, joy, and celebration. What's your point? Because everybody's loved by God. Well, so if everybody's loved by God, then why do you have to indoctrinate kids to be something they're not? Or make them entertain ideas that are anathema to who and what they are? Why do you have to do that? Goes on to say, Roman Catholic schools are to cut the terms mother and father from admissions forms. This is what I'm talking about. Is it any more obvious? Could it be any more obvious, at least to people who are at least mildly educated and know what's going on in the world and somewhat red-pilled, that they are trying to deconstruct every aspect of society that's traditional, even the labels of mother and father, because that is not relativism. You need relativism. You need a total lack of contextual information in society. No mother, no father. Let's just call you Barb, and let's call you David. I'm your father. No, you're David. Because mother and father are terms that have a lot of weight. They have a lot of contextual, traditional meaning to them. But you remove them, and that's no longer your father. That's Dave. And, of course, Dave doesn't really garner the same respect as father. You don't have to listen to Dave. You don't have to do what Dave tells you to do. Just do what the state tells you to do. From admissions forms to avoid offending step-parents and same-sex couples. This is all bullshit. This is all smokescreen. This is the left, the global elites, pulling the strings of their useful idiot puppets to essentially use this cultural Marxist bullshit to essentially deconstruct society. Use the supposed complaints and woes and hardships of the marginal to deconstruct and reconstruct the majority. Yeah, 0.5% of the population is uncomfortable. Well, we're going to essentially make everybody walk on eggshells and feel that we have to change society for those people. Once we've done that, we can use this cudgel to beat everybody into submission and into doing what we want them to do. It follows a complaint by a parent against Holy Ghost roaming Catholic primary school. Yeah, it turns out if you give people unprecedented power as a supposed oppressed minority class, that they will use that power in a very unreasonable way. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and in today's world, if you are one of these oppressed classes, you have seeming absolute power to get whatever changes you want implemented, no matter how absurd they might be. A complaint from a Catholic primary school in Wandsworth, South England, after it used a mother guardian and father guardian on a form. So some gay person objected. Some wacko, nut job, fringe lunatic gay objected that their kid saw a mother-father on a form. No, we can't have that. I'm a control freak. I need to push my agenda on everybody. So one person complained, and suddenly 4,700 schools have to change how they do business. And this isn't tyranny. This isn't the tyranny of the minority. It's still tyranny. This isn't tyranny. Okay. The Office of the Schools of the Adjudicator upheld the complaint, saying the wording might be taken to imply the school's restricting its definition. I think the words have meaning. So you're just going to open up the dictionary and change the meanings of all the words, okay? Because one or two people might be unhappy about what these words actually mean, and it doesn't include them, this definition. So now this definition has to include them, even though that's not what the word means, right? Because words are relative. We can't really have anything like meanings. Okay. The Catholic Education Service is understood to be preparing a form using the family instead. Oh, God. And, of course, things get more disturbing. Drag queens to visit nursery schools to teach about LGBT. Why do kids need to learn about this? It's a fringe group. It's a deviant group. They're less than 0.5% of the population. Why do you need to teach kids about this stuff? They'll learn about this stuff in reality, okay? This is the kind of stuff that parents should be teaching them anyway. It's not the school's job. Drag queens are being brought into This is what really annoys me. This is a taxpayer-funded institution. So this is the government doing this. Wake up, people. It's 1984. George Orwell's predictions are coming true. They've come true. Drag queens are being brought into taxpayer-funded nurseries to teach children about sexual diversity. Nursery schools, people. 3, 4, 5-year-old kids. The drag queen story time. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. Based in Bristol, was formed to teach children about LGBT tolerance. Yeah, but you don't need to 24/7 be pushing a neutral, not only neutral, but agenda-driven teaching method and atmosphere that is pro-feminine. Nursery bosses say the sessions will help children to see people who defy rigid gender restrictions and grow up to combat hate crime. There's just crime. There's no such thing as hate crime. If I kill somebody because they're gay, it's no worse than because I killed them because somebody paid me money. Killing is killing. This hate crime stuff is nonsense. So is hate speech. Oh, my God, this is frightening. Look at this creature. It looks like there's plastic on her face. Look at the hair. The hair looks like it's made of wood. Jesus Christ, this creature is being let into your schools to teach your kids nonsense, relativism. Oh, my God. And the caption of this picture says, Donna Lamode is one of the drag queens who will be sent in to read stories to children at nursery. I wonder, are lumberjacks going to be sent into these schools to do a story time? Huh? Are linesmen who are dressed up like utility workers who crawl around on 500,000-watt lines and could risk getting burnt to a crisp, these manly men, are they going to be sent into these schools to do story time? Why is it that I predict that the only people going into these schools to do this story time bullshit is this LGBTQ nonsense? Oh, of course, because those the manly men, the guys, they, of course, are not a marginalized, oppressed group. They're accepted in society, so we don't need to bring them in. We don't need to expose the boys to masculinity. And this is their excuse, that only the oppressed groups need to have their voice heard because the unoppressed groups, well, they're already unoppressed. So they don't need representation. Yeah, how long will it be until they are marginalized and treated like crap for displaying so much overt, toxic masculinity, huh? And what about in there earlier in this article where they said, well, we'll have 2 belts and fireman hats too, which is just bullshit. They're just paying lip service to say that they're going to try to present, try to represent, try to push in a balanced agenda of male-female traits, which is bullshit. Bullshit. They got drag queens coming in to read frickin' Dr. Seuss to the 3, 4, 5-year-old kids. Yeah, right. Show me the fireman, the policeman, the burly lumberjack coming in to read stories. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see it. As usual, the politicians have lied to you people. This is just an agenda driven to feminize boys, nothing more. Make your boys into useful idiot collectivists. Look at this. They want to target. They're even being so obvious. They're being in your face about it. This is really, really disturbing. That things have gotten so bad that they don't even try to hide it. They want to target. Look at the word target. Target. Talk about a creepy connotation to words. That's some creepy shit. They want to target your 2 and 3-year-olds to influence them early. Yeah, the sooner we can get to them, the sooner we can turn them into useful idiot communists. The drag queens, including Donna Lamode, will read stories to the children. Yeah, Donna is yet another useful idiot, and she's getting paid, of course, by your tax dollars. The sessions are being held at 7 London Early Years Foundation nurseries over the winter, and if they are successful, they'll be rolled out across all 37 sites. Oh, my God. But leading child psychotherapist Dills Dawes feared they could sow the seeds of confusion in young children about their own sexual identity. Which is already happening, which is why you're seeing so many more kids showing up with problems with their sexual identity. And a Welby aide quits over the Church of England's heretical teachings. Good for her. An advisor to the Archbishop of Canterbury has quit in protest over the Church of England's liberal teaching. You think? I hope more people quit. Please, protest this shit. Lorna Ashworth, a conservative evangelical who sat in the Archbishop's Council, said the Church of England has become revisionist and heretical. No shit. But they want to keep them dollar bills rolling in, yo. Keep those dollar bills rolling in, and the more and more of their parishioners who are turning up liberal and protesting this stuff, the less and less money is showing up in their tip box, in their little tithing plate. Yeah, pass around the plate. No money. Uh-oh. We better endorse homos and lesbians. And there's the Welby aide, and she's a big fat woman. You would expect her to be a liberal feminist, but oh no. Because she's being influenced by the enemy of liberalism. Their enemy is the church's teachings. And I'm all against religion. But at the same time, hey, okay, they have an enemy out there that they're trying to deconstruct. But now they're having success at it. They're successfully deconstructing and making the church into a liberal organization, at least in terms of its interactions with the public. Frightening. All the barriers to these wacko idiots are coming down. Lorna Ashworth, a conservative evangelical who sat on their specific council, so she resigned from a general synod. So she quit her position in the Church of England because of its liberal agenda. Good for her. Good for her. Not enough people are standing up for their convictions, though. They're all afraid. They're all afraid of being politically incorrect, okay? Mother of three, Miss Ashworth, 47, is disappointed by the Church of England's move to condemn those who try to persuade gay people to become heterosexual. Okay, well, I have a problem with that. You shouldn't try to be doing that, you know, if somebody's gay, you shouldn't be trying to make them straight. That I disagree with because, you know, if they're gay, they're gay. There's no change in that. We know that. But at the same time, I applaud her for at least standing up for her ideals against these fascists and by its deepening accommodation of the trans labor lobby. The last thing you should do is accommodate these wackos. She said, in light of the revisionist agenda and the heretical teaching, I am no longer willing to sit around the table pretending we as the governing body, the Church of England, are having legitimate conversations about our mission. Miss Ashworth added that she and many others long for clear and courageous biblical leadership. And I'm not going to play this video, but of course in this picture from the video, we have boys are strong being held up, and of course he's going to flip it around and it says, no, boys are not strong, and girls are not weak, they're equal, and some kind of nonsense. Yes, let's deconstruct the so-called stereotypes that are gender traits. They're all equal. Yeah, right. This is a very long and very disturbing article. What do you guys out there think? Is this evil? Trying to turn boys and girls into drag queens by changing the teaching methodology, changing the curriculum, constantly teaching messages that subvert the natural gender roles, natural gender traits, and try to, the majority of time, just focus their efforts on boys, deconstructing male gender traits so as to make boys more feminine. Because they're certainly not doing that with girls. They're not attacking them the way they're attacking boys, even though, of course, they said, oh, yeah, we'll be attacking them equally. No, you won't. So let me know what you think in the comments section. Please like and subscribe. And if you feel inclined, donate to my Patreon. I could use the moolah because, of course, YouTube is going to demonetize this video as well. So I'm the mgtowphilosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.